To have you all on board. It's another time with Coach Ayo, the enthusiastic Toto, and today it's going to be a continuation of the course FMS304. It's been an interesting one so far, and in today's class, we are going to be discussing what it means by. We're going to be considering the levels of theorizing. In our retrospective class, we talked about what a theory is and why it's so important in research process. So today we're going to be considering the levels of theorizing. For those of us who are new to the stream, let's do all to subscribe to the channel. Let's do all to smash the like button. Let's do all to use the comment section to say hi, hello, good evening, or whatever it is by the time where you're watching from. And most importantly, let's ensure to join the private class where we walk you through all your courses without leaving any course unattended to. How do you get to join the private class? All you need to do is send us a direct message through our official website, which is www.coachio.com. In the bottom right hand corner of our official website, you find the button that says Talk to Coach Io. If you click on that button, it takes you to the interface where you find several social media handles you can use in sending us a direct message. The categories of handles we have there ranges from the likes of WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and even sending us placing a direct phone call, all right, to us. You can use any of the available options, and once you make your request by sending us a direct message, we'll be happy to guide you and usher you into the private class. So basically, it's what it is. So let's get started with today's class. And don't forget, in the private class where we settle the 70%, all right, remaining the remaining 70% of what we do here on YouTube. What we do basically on YouTube is more 30%, and the remaining 70% is restricted to a private class where we do the one-on-one classes. We help you with resources like a keynote, practice questions, the past questions. It's a comprehensive package, so you need not to delay. Join the private class today, and we'll be happy to have you on board. So now, let's get started. The course code is FMS304, and it's a course you need to pass before you even consider writing your project. I think back then, when I was in running my undergraduate program, you were going to request for your supervisor. You're going to submit your, before you can submit your three topics you are writing on your project proposal. Before you can submit it, you have to go with three topics, and before you are even permitted to present those before your supervisor, you're expected to go to your study center and get a form. So that form, when you are going to get that form from your study center, you will be required to present a slip of your, I think is registered exams, and confirmation that you passed the course research methodology. The code differs according to departments. For this department, it's FMS 304. For some department, it might be BOSS 304. For some department, it all depends. It varies according to different departments. So in today's class, we are going to be talking about the levels of theorizing. It's very similar to what we have been discussing for quite some time. Now, this is volume 7. It's going to be a long, all right, volumes on this particular course due to the fact that it is research. It's a course that revolves around research, and we're going to be considering a whole lot of things. So we might need to take it one step at a time. The most important thing is understand every concept, every precept, and every steps we take in the course of this particular course. So speaking of understanding what theories are, we did that yesterday, and we're able to consider theories, the meaning and the purpose, and how important it is from different angles. So what are the levels required before your theory can become a theory, all right? Before your possible guess or before your fact can be acknowledged as a theory. There are levels to it. So this is what we're going to be considering, all right, in today's class. It's not going to be limited to that alone. We're going to be considering other things, but we are taking our bearing from what it says, the levels of theorizing. So we have the levels of theorizing, all right? We discussed this from the very beginning. When it comes to research, when it comes to science, you can't abracadabra is not an option. Go to the answer as we call it isn't an option. All right. Beating around the bush isn't an option. Assumption is not an option. Yeah, it might be an option at some point, but to every assumption you have to provide, it has to, all right, metamorphose or transcend into a factual, objective process or procedure. All right. And this is why we are going to be talking about the levels involved in making your theory a theory indeed. Now, we have a very first level. All right. These are in levels. So the very first level is the level 1, which is hypothesis formulation. All right. Level 1, which is hypothesis formulation. Level 1. Here we have hypothesis formulation. Now, in this level, by now I believe the term hypothesis is not entirely new to us. It's something we have heard of. All right. So when we say hypothesis formulation, what are we referring to? Now, one thing you need to bear in mind is that if you are going to use any hypothesis, all right, as a basis for your research, such hypothesis must go beyond the fact on which it's based. You need to establish the existing state of affairs. All right. Most of these surveys are conducted for the purpose. Now, for you to understand hypothesis formulation, let's do a quick, all right, brushing through on what it means by hypothesis. Now, when we talk about hypothesis is said to be a test, all right, an educated guess. Remember, I said something like, if your research is based on, all right, agricultural factors that influences the growth of the economy. So you want to be considering certain cash products, certain perennial products, certain, all right, um, influences that determines the production of agricultural or farm produce, all right, that can then affect or influence the economy of the country at large. So your possible guesses, all right, should be what could be the problem to the generation of these products? Is it land issue? Is it farmer and is it crises that won't allow the farmers to go to the farm? Is it erosion? Is it poor financial facilitations or access to resources and facilities that will enable the farmer produce large quantity of this farm produce? All right. All these guesses are educated. Now you are talking about agricultural produce and how it can improve the economy of the state. You have no business with um, how many you have no business with how many cars are imported. It's a guess, but it has no direct or indirect influence to your research. So hypothesis is something like that. You are studying a particular, you are doing a particular research on a particular topic. So every of your hypotheses are influenced, all right, or guided educationally, all right. There are possible guesses that you need to verify during the process of your research study, during the process of research work. So that's why hypothesis is very important. It's because of from these possible guesses, it's you are already a step close. All right, you're a step closer to getting your hand on the main thing. But before you get to the main thing, you need to try a lot of options that are very close to the problem you are trying to solve. This is where hypothesis comes in. So it is said to be a testable, all right, a testable, something you can test, all right. Then when you find out that, okay, I think it's not about erosion, there's proper drainage system. It's not about um, poor loan access. The government has made a loan available to this farmer. So what's now the problem? All those guesses you begin to eliminate, and the more you eliminate your guesses, it takes you a step closer to laying your hand on the main problem. All right, so that's hypothesis for you. So you need to formulate these possible guesses. It says if you are going to use any hypothesis as a basis for your research, such hypothesis must go beyond the fact on which it is based. All right, so you must be able to prove to some extent that your hypotheses are close, that are accurate to enhancing, okay, they are close, they are accurate, all right, to the enhancing or this course seem very detailed than anticipated or than expected. Well, I expect it to be so anyway. It's research. I don't expect any less. It's research, so I don't actually expect any less. So it is what it is. Okay. So now let's continue. So for level 3, we have it says here descriptive theories and tax, all right, taxonomies, all right, taxonomies, descriptive theories and taxonomies. Now, when you formulate descriptive theories and taxonomy, you are operating at a more complex level than mere classification, which was for elementism. Now, a hierarchical categorization of different cases, varying from most simple to the most complex. So this is the third level, whereby you go from basics, all right, to intermediary. I beg your pardon, intermediary, before you enter the next level, which is mastery. So we have this is where you begin to describe certain details. That's level 3, descriptive theory. Level 3, descriptive theory. So we have that is that. We also have level 4, classification, 5 and 6, postulation, and theory. All right, that's a level 4 classification again. If you want to develop any kind of useful classification system, there must be a set of theoretical ideas to underline the classification. Now, for instance, classification of animals became significant only after it was realized that it could be filtered into a system in which the evolutionary relationship among animals became the basis of classification. Okay, so this is a proper classification. Remember, the classification in level 2 was more simplifying. So even after you have completed your descriptive theories, all right, which is a high level to elementism, descriptive theories and taxonomies, the level next to it is another classification, but this time you are classifying based on your descriptive theory and taxonomies. Then we have 5 and 6 as postulation. Then after you have postulated, it goes through certain scrutiny, then it becomes a theory you can work with. So we have level 4, all right, classification at higher stance. Then we have level 5, which is postulation, and level 6, which is theories, something you can now work with. And I'll say, based on what you have discovered, you take a step further. So we have that. So now let's take a step further. So we have data collection in research. All right. I think we talked about this already. We'll talk about data. It can be regarded as information. All right. It can be given out or taken for the purpose of what? Making inferences. Talk about all this, all right, before now. Talk about primary data, secondary data. Primary data are those data that you are the one that originate as a researcher, but secondary data are the ones that other researchers like you has originated. So you are now making use of their work to support your own work. That's primary and secondary data. Then we talked about questionnaire and the likes. All of this we have talked about. So very quickly, let's see if we can still take 1 or 2 points before we call it a wrap for tonight. We have less than 6 minutes. Talk about the construction of questionnaire. All right, where we say their questions have to be precise, clear. All right, the writing, the preparation. You need to criticize the question. You need to assemble and administer them thereafter. All right, so let's quickly talk about the main types of questionnaires. And there are basically 2 main types of questionnaires. If you have been following me since 100 level, you'll have had me use this as a very good example whenever I'm trying to explain the standard of exams in the National University of Nigeria. You hear me say something like open-ended and closed-ended. And you must have heard me say the open-ended gives you the respondent, the opportunity or the privilege to express yourself, just like your POP exam. You are asked the question and you are given the liberty to explain, write, put something down, pen something down, unlike the CBT, which is closed-ended. It's either you have an option or you are filling in the gap. That is closed-ended. It's either a yes or no, agree or strongly disagree, agree or disagree, or strongly disagree, or strongly agree. It all depends. All right, but it's either a yes or no, true or false, disagree or agree. That's a closed-ended questionnaire. But the open-ended gives the respondent the liberty. And who is the respondent? The person you give your questionnaire to, the person you present or administer your questionnaire to help you fill. And don't forget, your questionnaire has to be given to the right audience. You cannot be doing a research on agriculture and you are giving your questionnaire to a mechanic. All right? Or you are giving your questionnaire to a graphic designer. These are different people. Your questionnaire, if you are doing anything that is related to agriculture, should be given to farmers. They are the best person to give you the right information you are seeking. So these are the 2 main types of questionnaire: the open-ended and closed-ended questionnaire. So we have that's that. So let's okay, before you administer your questionnaire, we are being told that we need to do some testing, and that testing is called pilot testing. All right, and what does pilot testing? What does it mean? We are being told here that every instrument used for data collection in research should be trial tested. So pilot testing is trial testing. You are doing a test run. It will be very, very unfortunate after putting on the effort and everything. You administer your questionnaire and unfortunately you're not getting the response. So before you administer your questionnaire, you need to test it with few sample populations to be sure that yes, you have. It's a different thing for you to structure this questionnaire, but it's a different thing for you to get the information you need. So that's why it's need for you to there's need for you to do a pilot testing. All right. So there are also many reasons for doing this. Among these reasons are to find out how long it takes the respondent to complete. All right, the questionnaire, to ensure that all questions and instructions are clear. These are some of the reasons why you do this pilot testing. All right, to enable the researcher to remove any item that do not yield usable data. So we have that as that. So how do you administer your questionnaire? You can administer your questionnaire through covering letter. All right. You know what a covering letter is? A covering letter, as we have it, is attached alongside what we refer to as a curriculum vitae, and it's a letter that's highlighting certain information about an individual. All right, and it's one way you can administer your questionnaire, but this works more with a proper parastatals. Okay, it works more with the proper parastatals. This should inform the respondent about your objective of the study. All right, so it's a document sent alongside your CV to introduce. So it's more of just introducing a concept, and the concept you're introducing as a researcher is your research work precisely. Okay, so your covering, this is one of the ways to administer is use of covering letter, and remember to accompany your questionnaire with an introduction letter. So you are sending your questionnaire alongside an introduction letter. All right, this is what this means. Before you give your questionnaire, you are giving a short introduction first. Before you fill this my questionnaire, this is what is expected of you. So that's one way to understand your questionnaire. You can also do it through interviews and observation. All right. So we're going to stop here for tonight, and we're going to take it up from interviews and observation from our next class. Thank you very much, everyone. I believe you have been able to gain something to this class. Please let's do well to keep our notes up to date and send them to the appropriate quarters. And I'll be giving us an assignment for the weekend, because the next time we are meeting now should be by Monday. So let's have this assignment for the weekend. All right. What do you understand by theorizing? All right. Discuss with not less than 250 words. What do you understand by theorizing? Discourse with not less than 250 words. Thank you very much once again. Do have a wonderful evening, and bye for now.